This is day number 325, the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming shir or more, the Arukh HaShulchan OC, please contact me directly. We very greatly appreciate it. Today we're doing Siman Reish Lamed Beis, Sif Tesayin. So Siman Reish Lamed Gimel, Sif Gimel. And so we'll be for the duration of the evening, the day. Again, we start from Tesayin. Why can we eat after mincha ktana? Moshe's brother Osim pay testing and l'mod kodim tefillah shachris. The mispal b'chilus osi l'mod. If you daven by yourself, it's forbidden to learn before shachris. The Hashem asked m'shuchay b'yavar zman tefillah, because maybe you'll come to be drawn after you learn it at the time of tefillah will daven. Will pass. Avol b'ragil yispel v'saknes. But if you're cousin daven shul mutar, it's permissible. V'chinami ken. Who? Here's the same thing. That which they forbade all the stuff which we mentioned was mincha alone. But he will not forget how to do it. It's compelling. It's obvious. It's necessary. Yes, obvious, compelling. They won't forget to daven. But this is definitely a very good logic. Therefore, somebody who doesn't have mincha b'tzibur, he certainly must have mincha before he eats. If it's the time adjacent to mincha ketana, and certainly after this time. But tzibur, but somebody happens with a tzibur, can rely on the leniencies which we have written. Yud Zayin, can one go to sleep at that time? Came with the Bible, some will raise brachas, since it says with terms of my rib, so that a person will say, read a little bit, etc., and I'll sleep a little bit. This is talking about the half hour before the time of davening Marib, which goes down to Sim and Reish Lamed Hey. And Goshkin, it certainly be he is my mincha atzma, the time mincha itself comes. Perhaps we say there, the husband of Laila at night is man shena, it's time to sleep. So, maybe he's going to be drawn into a sleeping entire night like people are. But during the day, it's not so much there to sleep. Also designates somebody to wake you up from your slumber. Even though it says concerning such a matter in Sukkah, about somebody who goes to sleep inside the house, Arvach tzarich, your guarantor needs a guarantor. Zeli and tefillin. That's that's not about sukkah. Sorry, not about sukkah. It's about tefillin. In other words, if you can't go to sleep a short amount of time. Sorry about that. The gazman muat nechshav, even a short amount of time, is considered to be keva, to be like a long time, chashash, hafacha, because the person might come pass gas, ayin sham. But there's a lot more time, and therefore perhaps you can rely on that. Perhaps you can rely on somebody waking you up, unless it's immediately before the time of the end of mincha. And the world is accustomed to be lenient with naps. But if you really want to go sleep after the time mincha ketana arrives, it's definitely best to daven first. That which is forbidden to eat by a small meal, that's for a kvila suda, but the taste, the hainu, in this case means very different. Halachas means different things. Here means achilas peiros, to eat fruit, mutter, that's permissible. And even to eat a piece of bread the size of kibetza, it's about probably 2 slices of bread. Below keva, like a person eats when it's not a formal meal, mutar, that's permissible. This is according to the Rif and the Rosh Vadin. This is true for all opinions, even by mincha ktana. The low kamakam Shubin Levi, that filatima also bagi is man filas mincha. We don't hold it Shubin Levi. Eating a taste is also when the time filas mincha arrives. But actually, mispal mutar betima. until you daven, you are still nevertheless allowed to taste. Hitir pas kibetza, which is striking a large amount. Umasha filu pas etzorach l'til sedayim ba'motzi b'ras hamosa, because this sounds like even a piece of bread which is large enough to require washing and motzi and benching. Udavar tema is astonishing. The miyachrichu shelo yochal yoser. Who's going to ensure that he's not going to eat more? If he means no, bread which doesn't require washing, but just cake, or pasta barbecue. You shouldn't have said bread. The two only writes fruit. I have to say, a Suda Ketana is only called one which is designated. But which is one which is not designated, even if it's washing, it's like a snack. Even in wash. But it's just that more than a kibetza, that's considered ready to be a keva. And therefore, of course, for sukkah it says that a person should not eat more than kibetza outside sukkah. And that's an interesting thing. Magen Avraham says that you shouldn't drink more than a kibetza of alcoholic beverage, so you shouldn't get drunk. But after mashka mashkakeres is, of course, only by something which is intoxicating, yayin, like wine, yayin sarf, and whiskey, below sheikha, not beer, but which is not going to get you drunk. Fruit is permissible even a lot. Glucose, and even pastries. Mutar afilu yesa kibetza, even more than kibetza. The cholan yemikra achilas arrive. For these purposes, all of these things are called snacking. Whereas even a tamshil, even a cooked dish which is made from the 5 types of grain, it's mutar if you're not kovei sud on it. You test. That which it says if they began in order to interrupt. Yiskim rabbis say, our rabbis agreed. Afilu is chil b'isser. Even if it began when you should not have begun. So she's according to Rif of the Rambam when he began after Mincha Gedolah, adjacent to Mincha Gedolah. But Taisus Rosh Achar Samach Mincha Ketana. According to Taisus Rosh, when he began adjacent to Mincha Ketana. Nevertheless, you don't have to interrupt. We can finish the meal, or disperse, or the haircut, or the visit to the bathhouse, or the tannery, or the court case. But because she shares shows, at least by the Chakras, so the time is going to remain daven afterwards. There's no time, not going to remain time. I feel bad, it's still bad to they start when it's permitted to start, they must interrupt. I feel even there's a lot of time left. Anytime he knows that his meal will extend to nighttime, he's got to he's got to interrupt in the middle. Rosh only wrote, when you began adjacent to Mincha Ketana, you have to interrupt. That which it says that if they start, you start them up to stop, that's by a big meal, a major meal, adjacent to Mincha Ketana. So only Mincha Ketana, but it's a minor meal adjacent to Mincha Ketana, Chayav Lafsik, you have to interrupt. You don't interrupt. And several poskim hold that way. But in places there's a worry about drunkenness, obviously you have to interrupt. Therefore, in big meals made where people are accustomed to get drunk, you have to interrupt mincha, and that mincha before that occurs. Rama writes, by a major meal, you should be more machmir, even adjacent to Mincha Gedolah. Even again before that. When time Mincha Ketana comes to show, Veres, and the time is passing, so you have to rise up and daven a Kalashon. She said it doesn't mean when the time Mincha is actually going to pass. You can't say should be stringent. The ikra dina that is the baseline halacha. But it's intended to cholios kain al pi ribui hashasios. That means it could get to such a situation when you're going to drink a lot. It's like by big major meals. Therefore, even if there's a lot of time left, interrupt. When there's a wedding on Shabbos, they didn't eat until afternoon. They should have mincha first, and then eat. By a chasna, I'll tell you about it. They used to make the meals on Shabbos after the chasna. So this is definitely a suda gedola. Can't start it even adjacent mincha gedola. It's permitted. Then as afternoon comes, shehiyah zman mincha gedola, and you're ready at the time mincha gedola. You cannot eat until you daven. The chemuzulas bris milah, which is made in the afternoon, obviously. Mishabura says that if you started before the half hour before mincha ktana, even a major meal, you don't have to be mafsik. If you started after the time has come, however, or the time mincha ktana, then when the time mincha, in other words, you started within that half hour before mincha ktana. Then when actual mincha ktana comes, you have to interrupt even by suda ktana, even by a minor meal. But the Ramah says that we're lenient in all this if there is a shamash who calls people to shul to daven. Except the exception to that leniency is a major meal. Then in that case, even if you started before noon, when the time mincha ktana comes, you have to interrupt because we're afraid you're going to procrastinate and miss it. But Halacha says the Derech HaChaim paskins that if you started before the time adjacent mincha ktana, even though it's 1.5 hour before mincha ktana, even a major meal don't have to interrupt, and even if you know it's going to last till nighttime, and even in a place where they don't call people to shul. But he has to stop sometime before the Zman HaTfilah in order to daven. It ends with the Tzarech Iyun L'Maisa. Nowadays, people are not so machmir on this halacha, but there's no reason why not. Assuming that you don't have somebody's calling you to shul, you should indeed make sure to daven mincha before getting immersed in a large meal, a major meal. Chafal, but came with still imam seeking, since once you start, you don't stop. Here's the last man we have to know what starting means. Chazal say, Mema say, disperse when's beginning of a haircut. Mishaniach, Sudar shel saparim al birkav. Once you put the barber's apron on your knees. Miyaschos merchatz, the beginning of the bathhouse, is mishiavshi l'shoyos, when you take off your outer jackets. Aschos burski, the beginning of tannery, is kshiksha begamek sefa, when you tie a garment between your shoulders, derech burskim, like the tanners do, whatever that means. Aschol is din, with the beginning of judgment, imayu suskukim mikodim bedin, if they're involved before any judgment, habi aschol mishiaschilu ad the balei dim liton. The beginning of this judgment is when the litigants start making their claims. If they weren't involved in a prior judgment, prior case, the beginning is when they wrap themselves in their mode of Dianus, which we don't really practice nowadays. As he says, for us who don't have this cloaking, from the time they sat down with intent to judge, that's the beginning. Beginning of eating is once you wash. Some is accustomed to loosen his belt. When he eats, when he loosens his belt, I feel even if it's before washing, that's called the beginning. The Avogat ain't a tzircha cloud, even though it's not a big deal to just close your belt again. You come, at that point you don't have to interrupt. For that Yerushalmi, it says that if you start, you don't stop. The imim seek nikor hedjot. If you stop, you're called a fool. That means exempt for something he does. He's called a fool. It's not like other chumras. Because here it's not like other chumras which are nice. Because here it says don't stop. Ein mafsikim. The way he says. Ein lachmir. You should not be severe. Come really the ain't zeli be schubheter. That's says the that's if you start at the time you're allowed to start. If you start at the time you should not have started. You're allowed to interrupt. came with his base since he started at the wrong time. I should have the Chosh Mishpat Siman Hey. The Biur Halacha says, even you start at a time of Isser, if you interrupt, you call the Hediot. Only a place where a Pidin you have to interrupt. But we rely on the Shamish. Then if you're machmir on that you're not called a Hediot. Adelio writes that no matter what, you're not called a Hediot. I guess Mizan is there. It's too easy, too important for us to be choshish, so we're not going to be responsible. Reish Lam Gimel, Masai Sov Zman Tfilas Mincha Gdoyle Ketana. When's the end of the time? Mincha Gdoyle, Mincha Ketana. Al Binyan Sov Zman Tfilas Mincha, in terms of the end of the time, Mincha. Tam Reish Tai Perek Dal, it says before Perek Braches, Tfilas Mincha at Erev. Mincha is until evening. You don't have Plag Mincha, it says until half of the Mincha. By the shore of Yokurim Alayla, an hour and a quarter before the nightfall, the Zman Mincha Ketana, the time Mincha Ketana is an hour and a quarter before that. But Teisha v'chetzi, it's 9.5 hours in today. Shtei shos Mexico Malayla, which is 2.5 hours before nightfall. Plaga Mincha is Shava Revia, and Plaga Mincha is an hour and a quarter. Rabbanan Mincha there, according to Rabbanan, that Mincha is until nightfall, until sunset. Maslas Man Marav Erev, the time Marav begins only at nightfall, V'lo Kodem, not previously. Vidam Maskil Zman Marav, but Plaga Mincha Shah Revia Kodem Malayla. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the time of Marav starts for an hour and a quarter before nightfall. The Zeldar Pasha, the Shekos Man Tfilas Mincha Maskil Zman Arvis. Everybody agrees when time Mincha ends and time Marav begins. It's just the question is, when is that point? V'chein Skim, what I was saying, Tesis, V'Rosh, V'Rash, V'Chol, Pais can agree with that point. Base, it's a Galichus Abung Gemara. It's interesting they put it. It's Paskin in the Gemara, Dein Bedin Ze Halacha Psuka, that there is no specific psak in this halacha. Chalash says, Kamosh Yirtzu, people can do as they want. Karabana or Rabbi Yehuda, or Rabbi Yehuda. We scheme Rabbi saying the Hachi Perusha. The rabbis agree this is the meaning. Shena Kavana Shapami as a Karabana Pam Rabbi Yehuda. It's not that he can do sometimes like Rabbanan, sometimes like Rabbi Yehuda. El Rashus Biyaro Linhog Tamid. Karabana or Rabbi Yehuda. That permanently, either like do like Rabbanan or Rabbi Yehuda. You can say the Hog Rabbanan if you want to do like Rabbanan. You spell Tamid Mincha to Erev. You show us that Mincha till the evening. You're supposed to be Arvis. Come along the Dodam Mar before nightfall. You'd say no Rabbi Yehuda. If you want to like Rabbi Yehuda, you spell Arvis Achar Plaga Mincha. He's got that Marv after Plag. You spell Mincha Achar Plaga Mincha. You should have Mincha after the Plaga Mincha. Now this is not so simple that you can choose and then you can't renege as we do, which we do nowadays. Kimel v'nei b'zman ha'kadmon you Rabbi Yehuda. In times of the Rishonim, they practice like Rabbi Yehuda. You spell Arvis Kadam Alayla Dav Mar before nightfall. Kamavor calls it the Taisus for Rosh, for Rashba, the Talmid Rabbi Yonah, Reish Brachos. Oh, it's at the beginning of Brachos. Pachshab Rov Dinos, I think it's first Taisus in Brachos. Pachshab Rov Dinos, even now most countries is following Mincha Ad HaErev, we die Mincha until evening, meaning until sunset. We met there some Arvis Kadam Alayla, and therefore we don't do Marav until after sunset, which is at night. We spelled to us Arvis Kavanah, let's say, so Plaga Mincha. However, the Evli Dav Marav with the intent to be Yotze. After Plaga Mincha, Yotze, you Yotze ve'ein matzrichim leilach zor lispalo. And require him to go back and daven again. Chay b'Shabbos, Yeshachat Chil Yispalo, Shil Tfilas Arvis, Shil Shabbos, you Plaga Mincha l'malo. An Erev Shabbos, you should, Chatchila, you can daven Marav Shabbos, starting from Plaga Mincha, Minei Tosefah Shabbos. To add on to Shabbos, to keep people of Shabbos, have a klein mamish. As the sister of Kabbalah Tosefah Shabbos, it's like nightfall in terms of the halacha of davening at that time. He's going to discuss this at very greater detail.